Snapchat sessions, guys. It's been a long time, I know. I've been like stockpiling videos because I've been away for a long time. But we're back, going to be more steady. That's the second camera. I'm going to teach everyone how to use the second camera. Okay. I'm John. I do events and I do part-time YouTube.
I'm Andrew. I do e-commerce.
Hi, I'm Kim. I work for a frozen food distribution company. I'm also a ice skating coach and a freelance actor.
So today we're going to be talking about the Huawei exodus, rather the American company's exodus from Huawei phones or vice versa. I don't know. Basically the Huawei situation, right? What you need to know about the Huawei situation. So Andrew, you wanna give a bit of a brief on what it is, or?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the repercussions of it is, immense. But let's take a step back and look at how it led to the situation. There's a very extensive timeline on all of this, but I'll just give you the highlights. So it actually started a long time ago, since early 2018. So there were hints of today.
Well, there was a discussion internally in the US amongst companies, or?
No, I mean Trump and China.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, Trump and China has been a huge thing for a while. But yeah, Huawei has been grappling with.
Oh yeah, 5G.
Yeah,
right?
5G is part of it, but Huawei has sort of been battling with the US on policies since early 2018. So I'll run you through some notable timelines. So on March 22nd, 2018, Huawei loses Best Buy as a retail partner.
Oh,
right.
Shit.
So that's a big one.
So Best Buy doesn't sell Huawei basically since that date lah.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow, that's fucked up.
On June 6, 2018, a report reveals that Facebook gave Huawei special access to user data.
Bro!
See, this is why I don't
Why?
like to use Facebook.
Never say why.
I mean, there's a whole extensive article about it, but I guess we can go into details later.
Okay.
June 7, 2018, Congress calls out Google over its ties with Huawei. July 11, 2018, Australia says it'll ban Huawei from 5G rollout.
Whoa! Even Australia was in
Why
there.
Australia? Yeah.
My take on this is that, as I read through this timeline, there'll be a lot of other countries involved, not just the US.
I see. It's just the US holds a larger power in all this.
Yeah, right. Australia, Germany, Europe in general.
Europe has very strong privacy policies.
Sure, but on a global level, everyone needs to have relations with the US.
Yeah, for sure.
And so they can sort of strong arm you into making decisions that you're not particularly fond of.
For freedom, man.
Yeah.
Freedom. Free them all.
So let me keep going. Notable ones. There's a lot.
But it was a build-up, essentially. It was never a one overnight thing.
Yeah, but there are actually very important timelines that you should know of. So on January 2019, the US hammers Huawei with 23 indictments for alleged trade secret theft and fraud. So for context, there were a few Huawei engineers who broke NDA agreements. They tried to steal some intellectual property from AT&T. Yeah, and they were basically crossing a few lines lah. And this is obviously news coming from the US. So obviously there are a lot of biases, you should take everything with a grain of salt. But the US did indict them for 23 counts on trade secret theft. Yeah, and Germany was pressured into banning Huawei as well.
Wow.
Angela Merkel was no, fuck you. And so somehow Germany gets out of that. So I don't know what kind of leverage Germany has with the US that they can pull, right? There's a lot of politics that goes into this that I'm not familiar with.
I see where this is going.
Yeah, so there's a lot, but I guess I'm gonna just stop there, just to not lengthen the whole conversation.
Okay, wait. How did it lead up to today?
Oh man.
The place, this point in time, where in how many days?
I think in 90 days, Android is going to be
void in Huawei. Huawei.
You can still they still receive updates, but only August 19, right?
August 19.
August 19 is the last update for Huawei for an Android phone. Then after that, it's just it's fuck all. That means you'll never get any updates forever after that, unless they of course bring back. But
unless it's a change in governance. Maybe.
My assumption based on the Germany thing, right after I didn't know about the Germany thing, I didn't know about the Australia thing, right? I think it's also because if you think about it, if Germany says fuck you, right, to the US, The US is like, bro, you know how much power I have over your... I fucking control Android, eh? I control Facebook, I control Instagram, I control so much shit, and you dare to do this other thing. And since Australia already went with it, and then because of all the rise of China and the economy is just booming over there, right? Of course the US is fucking scared, right? So they do whatever it takes to fucking halter them and just say, hey, you know what? I have a lot of leverage right now, and in the future I might not have this leverage anymore.
No, exactly.
So it's just like, you know, fuck you all.
Yeah.
Just kill your enemy before they become your enemy.
Yeah, 100%. Huawei is now the number 2 phone manufacturer in the world.
So behind Samsung.
So they've knocked Apple out of the second place. And so, you know, with trends going the way it is, like what you mentioned, the US wants to nip the bud while it's young, right? They don't want them to scale and then their tech becomes obsolete.
About the number 2, number 3 placement though, I remember watching Unbox Therapy and he was saying how like actually the number 2 and number 3 spot always rotates. It's never a firm 2 and 3. Right? Samsung is number 1, and also even that position is rotated because they take turns based on the release of phones, based on the season. So at the end of the year, I think it's Apple that becomes like number 2 or number 1, I'm not sure. And then they make the whole cycle of obviously I think they want to knock Huawei out of this equation. Yeah. Does this so happen? Apple is an American company and Google is an American company.
Yeah.
So. And Samsung is from Korea, which has ties to the US.
Oh, fuck.
Right.
So.
Goddamn. Yeah. There's a lot of dependency on Android.
There is.
Fuck. If you think about it, it's kind of a monopoly.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Of software. That's fucked up, man.
Yeah, but Android is also open source, so there were a lot of arguments that were going about. Open source is basically like developers coming together to develop a piece of software that's open to everyone to iterate upon, which is why you see Android being the more flexible OS. But because it's an open source system, there were a lot of arguments that were going around saying that Huawei doesn't need ties to the US or relations to the US to be working with an open source OS. But hey, I guess that's not the case. So
it's definitely not the case, man. Like the dependency on social media is like it's so high nowadays. Especially if you have such a beautiful phone like Huawei, you can take amazing photos, but you can't even post them.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, what's the point of having a phone? You only can text and call at this point.
I mean, as we were discussing this earlier, I did say that think about it. From a Malaysian perspective, right? We also are looking towards China nowadays for business. So in that sense, like people who are in this kind of ecosystem, yeah, like they already have WeChat. So naturally, when one thing doesn't work, you just go to the next best thing, which is there's the likelihood that people
WeChat
can
as a platform.
WeChat. Yeah, as a platform.
Do you think because of the exile of all the American apps, do you think
but honestly
this would make WeChat the primary source to link both and then therefore kill off the other social media platforms?
For me, from how I look at it, I don't think so, because us being humans, right, we're gonna be smart. We're gonna find some ways to like kind of jump into the loophole and squeeze through it and then come on the other side.
I just want to put it into perspective, right? Do you know Amazon Jeff Bezos? Is it Jeff Bezos?
Yeah, Jeff Bezos.
So Jeff Bezos is, I don't know, like top 3 richest. I think is he richest now? Second richest man in the world, right? And you know the Amazon store. There's an Amazon store, and then they have all these movies and all that fuck all, right? They actually have their own platform for the Amazon Kindle, so it's an Amazon store where you can purchase apps and shit like that, right? And even that second richest man in the fucking world can't even maintain that shit because the store is fucking shy. So expecting Huawei, right, who I don't even know top 1 maybe China is conserving money, they're holding money to expect them to come out of the store, right, to take over or at least 50% of market share or at least 30%, fuck all, I don't know right.
Well, there is a reason why.
I don't know, it's difficult, man.
I mean, there is a reason why currently, as of now, we are still dependent on the American systems.
So dependent.
Right? Because they figured out a way that is sophisticated but it's also user friendly. But in terms of like if let's say China were to come up with a store, it's nothing compared. It won't be as good compared to the American one, because in the US it's so diverse. So there's like different like cultures added in to that kind of melting pot that that
Yeah, how make it
allows
stronger.
right. But in China, they're a homogenous society in that sense, right? So their understanding of like what users want is more curated towards the Chinese.
100%.
So it may
100%.
not translate well with other countries. So like I said, most likely I feel that people will find some loophole to go back into Android.
So I think it's important to take note that like Amazon's creation of their own app store, like that did take off despite Jeff Bezos being the second richest man in the world, is because he's trying to work with the American market that's already saturated with Android and Apple.
I see.
Right? And part of the reason why developing an app store is so expensive and so difficult to do is because you need developers to develop apps or like for that app store specifically, right? Apple's app store requires Xcode, requires its own unique proprietary code for you to develop.
Yeah.
Android requires like that's why you have Android developers and iOS developers. They're both unique things.
To develop even the same app.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so it's not apples to apples when it comes to Huawei developing their own app store, because if they close themselves off to the Chinese ecosystem, it could really work.
But within there?
Yeah, it could really, really work exceptionally well within China.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it works really well in China, then they have pull across the region around them, right, geographically.
Yeah.
So it's not really like something that...
Do you think the closed off market with China and the rest of the world would make China very like excluded? Or do you think they would try to take sides with Asia and battle out with the Middle East
possible.
together with the US and Europe?
It is possible. I mean, like, okay,
I think this only divides people, to be honest. But
true.
I feel the ill intentions of both parties, the US that think that, oh, you know what, fuck you, Chinese people, I don't want you to become successful, versus and also the Chinese people who are pricks who like, want to steal information, knowing your sabotage. I think it's all these thoughts, the negative thoughts, that are what create this conflict. So don't get me wrong, I really like feel as if it's fucked up. It's just that, what do you think the repercussions are? Do you think it would make a trade war happen?
It's possible, okay, because think about it, like in India there has been a surge of like Realme phones, right? The reason being that it's affordable.
Okay.
So what Huawei could do to leverage that is that they could create cheap phones, like really, really cheap, and then sell it to India and then spread from there. Like you said, throughout Asia, in that sense, they can
The software is tough
more.
though. Yeah, you have to implement and then make people...
Right.
And also because if let's say China does do that, people would need to have two phones to connect to both sides of the world. Technically because you're trying to battle sides really, right? So I need a phone that I can deal with my American and European counterpart, and I need my China phone to deal with my
Chinese.
Yeah, Chinese whatever / I don't know whoever they decide to partner with lah, right?
I think like on the grand scheme of things, this is bad for everyone, for sure.
Terrible.
Creates division, blah blah blah. But at the same time, from the US's perspective, they are interested in protecting, you know, like Americans, right? It's always Americans first for President Trump at least, right? You want to be protecting jobs, you want to be protecting the economy, right?
People,
in terms of like the development of tech. You don't want foreign penetration coming in, and so that's why it's like, fuck the grand scheme of things. I'm here, Americans first, and so that's what I'm gonna do, because the people who are gonna vote for me to keep me in power are Americans.
Wow.
Right? So it's
the political pull thing.
I definitely think
But
it's
it can also piss off a lot
reason.
of people who are not Trump supporters, because like Trump is doing this for his own benefit as well, right? So there are also going to be a bunch of Huawei users in the US who are also going to be unhappy, or people who are already, plus the people who are already opposing him. So, you know, it could go both ways.
I think in every action as a politician, you are going to piss some
Someone
people
off,
off and make some people happy.
Yeah.
But in this case, from what I think his perspective is that he is showing Americans that he truly prioritizes Americans first. And that message does come across very, very strongly.
I don't know what a citizen of the US would feel about this. Like if I was a citizen of the US and I, let's say, owned a Huawei phone.
Sure.
And would I be patriotic to say, you know what, I don't want to use Huawei anymore? You know?
Well, yeah, that really depends on how much you believe that Huawei is actually like stealing your information and feeding it back to China, and like the Chinese people having influence in like American politics, right? If I truly believe it as an American, I will totally be patriotic and say, dude, this is fucked up. I'm just going to buy an Apple product now, or whatever else there is in the market.
Yeah.
But if I don't believe it, then I guess that's up for debate how I interpret this. I'd be like, dude, I just wasted a shit ton of money on my
okay,
phone.
throw a stone, and then like out of the 10 people that you pick out, I don't think, like, take me for example, I wouldn't even, and it never even occurred to me that it started because of data.
Is it?
Yeah.
Huh?
For me, it was just like the whole 5G. I don't want China to be ahead kind of thing, and I'm trying to put Americans first. But it's less of like data sharing thing, like
No,
the data
it's taking data
stealing
out
thing.
everywhere.
No, I think it's important.
Because
to
I mean,
keep in
Google
mind-
does it too. Facebook does it too.
It's important to keep in mind that this data breach may be a facade.
As to the
around-
real reason.
Right, to the real reason that I really just want my
Competitors to die.
my political power to stay alive, for me to display the fact that I'm Americans first. So this whole data thing is a facade to justify why I'm doing what I'm doing.
It's possible, but at the same time, there is also a small percentage of people that are probably, their data is probably like taken by China. Like if you see, and it's like you say, it could be a facade in all the news, but you see English news is done by people who are probably English educated. So when they show you like how China can detect faces in the streets, and you see like that map where you can zoom in super near until you can see someone's face, it was fucking insane, right? So if you see all these things and you're like, shit man, fuck, maybe China's really fucking scary, man. Right? Whereas in China, I think they're like very proud of that. They can demonstrate it to the internal people, like, hey bro, you see my camera fucking 1000 megapixel and fuck all, right? And people are like, yeah man, yeah, internal. But then in the US it's just like, oh, scary as fuck, better write more news.
Right.
And like let's be frank, right?
Boyga is actually on the corner laughing because he can't be in this podcast because always his client.
Yeah, he kind of has a stance, but I mean, so if you think about it, right, like all the news is spread around where? It's Facebook, right? It's Twitter, it's Instagram and shit. It's not within a Chinese platform as well. So the biases is so fucking strong.
Yes.
So technically you just gotta think that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Huawei will die.
Well, it
because
also
of this.
depends on which side you're standing on, right? From this discussion alone, I feel like we are more towards the US.
I'm very neutral. I'm very
Of
neutral.
course.
I'm very neutral to this. I feel as if like I own an app. I am in the Apple ecosystem. Don't get me wrong. That's because of pure convenience. Because when I do shit, it's always fast to transfer and all that. But I think it's just sad that competition makes everything better, right?
Yeah.
And you take away another form of competition, like Apple will never be as good as Huawei's cameras because you take away the fucking competition. You're just competing with Samsung, which is your partner. So technically, your partner is now fucking scared also lah. Right? It realizes well, if you're a Samsung and you see what it had done to Huawei, you'll be like, oh my fucking god! If they took away Android, we GG.com.
Yeah, and
That's the same for every
it
Android
has to
phone.
be like, okay, I gotta walk on eggshells now. I gotta be really.
You think why Apple is a fucking genius for doing what they did, like having software and their hardware in one versus the Android open source type shit. Of course, there are pros and cons to this.
Yeah.
But like, oh man, if you were a different country, like even if you were, I don't know, a Japanese smartphone company, I don't know, Sony or some shit, you also hang out. Don't US Thanos you gone, man.
There are actually statements from the CEO or founder of Huawei, and he is very, very certain that this is not going to hurt him. He's like, if you read the statements, this guy is like confidence level 1000. He's like,
what did he say?
He's calling the US out on being a bully and that you're not going to stop us from being the #1 smartphone manufacturer in the world by 2020. He's like, dude, this guy, like at least publicly, he gives no fucks. He like when I think it was just like a few days ago, like I don't know,
it's an old man,
T-7, I'm not sure how old he is, but when the US decided to pull back a little bit and give them until August 19th, he totally downplayed it. He didn't give a fuck. He was like, alright, sure, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really change our course of plans anyway. So it's either this guy is like, has, a master plan. He actually has a master plan, or he's just like, swimming in arrogance, or I don't really know.
Or he's Star-Lord and he goes, I have a plan, but he doesn't have a plan.
Yeah.
And then later on, he just wings it.
Could be.
I don't know, man. I don't know what you remember long ago, there was, Nokia? When Nokia died, Nokia tried to go into the smartphone game and they said, hey, let's create our own open source software, and they called it Windows Phone. Bro, you know how fucked up was Windows Phone. I was one of the first users of Windows Phone at the time because I thought, you know what, Apple's too fucking mainstream, man. I'm in San Francisco, man. I want to try a new fucking phone. So I go into Nokia, right, dude. They didn't even have Instagram, bro. Instagram was out for like 4 years. They fucking have it. And then they had a huge release and they were like, okay guys, we have the biggest app coming to Windows Phone. And I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be Instagram. It's gonna be fucking Instagram, man. Fuck.
Snapchat.
No, bro. You know what came out? Temple Run 1. I'm like, bro! Not even Temple Run 2, dude. Immediately after that, I switched my phone from Windows Phone to fucking iPhone again.
Yeah.
And they died. They died in a year because there were no updates. Instagram came out, and then a month later they died.
Again, like, you know, that's always like that's Nokia trying to penetrate the Western market. Like Huawei penetrating the Chinese market, they will do just fine.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Nokia penetrating their own market though. You know what I mean? I don't know where Nokia's from, like Norway,
Sweden.
Sure. I don't know. But China is a huge fucking country, man. They definitely can sell their own phones. They can definitely have their own. It's just the exodus from. It's kind of like being
you
a bigger
also be very
Korea
surprised, like
digitally.
Like when I look at my Chinese friends from China, most of them have Apple products, and they like to use Instagram and Facebook.
See, it's tough.
They don't even use Huawei.
They don't use QQ.
Well, some of them, yeah.
I know my mom and dad. They're talking about dinner. They're like, oh, Huawei will be the new thing. Huawei will have their own software. I'm just like,
well, yeah. I mean,
do you know how difficult it is doing that?
Then again, our parents' generation, they all think that. My dad says the same thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, it's because I don't know if
they're racist Chinese.
Yeah, I mean, right? There's like underlying racism. They want to believe that the Chinese will be the superior race. They're tired of Guailo's ruling.
They sent us to the US to study, but they shit on America. They're like, these Americans are useless. I'm like, every time they say that, I'm like, you paid for my education in the US.
Yeah.
Are you saying you knew your shit?
Well, then again, for my case, it was more of like my mom wanted me to go. My mom was like cool with me going to the US. My dad actually wanted me to go somewhere else.
I don't know. For me, it was straight up, you need to go US. Then after that, years later, US piece of shit. I'm like, wow. Wow.
Okay.
And now they're like, China the way. Do business with China. Why you don't learn Chinese? Chinese do China business. Why you don't learn Chinese? That's all of them now. Bro, that's every fucking Chinese parent, dude. And they're like, Huawei #1. You don't even own a Huawei, bro. You own an iPhone, bro. They don't even know Android is American. I bet they don't know. They think Android and Google are separate. I guarantee you, if I go out right now and ask my dad, hey, what do you think of Android? Do you think they're from an American company? I don't know lah. Correct. What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, they probably don't know.
Bring them in.
Do we? No, later lah. I'll leave it in the description. What do you think? Drew, what do you think? Serious?
Yeah, they probably won't know.
They don't know. I think it's so fucking difficult to start a fucking app store, dude. Yeah. And then to reach two people again. It's like saying, hey guys, we have new software. Doesn't have Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, but it's really good.
I mean, it fits into the Chinese narrative because they already banned Google. Like, you literally,
true.
They literally can't Google shit.
Wait, depends. Which generation? I mean, like, my Chinese friends have VPNs that...
Oh, that's right. You see, like, that's the point. They have to have workarounds. And sure, you can have workarounds, but a huge majority of people aren't savvy enough to find those workarounds. And I think statistically that's just the case.
Or even have the need to.
So it's fine. Like, Huawei can penetrate the Chinese market just fine. There are a lot of bands that have been around for fucking years already. Like, if you transit in China, in Guangzhou or some shit, right, you literally can't Google something.
Yeah.
You can't go on Facebook.
You can't even open your email.
It's already happened for years. Yeah. There's no difference if Huawei opens up their own app store. It's probably more convenient for them. Because then they can actually foster the development of their own ecosystem and they can be happy people.
True.
Or they could just start another company, call it like, yay, oh, and then have Android.
Yeah, so yeah.
Exactly.
Could be. Yeah, right. But I mean, obviously the US isn't stupid enough to fall for that, right? Like that's just a shell company leading back to the same company.
He could hire another guy to pose as a CEO.
Yeah. Possible, absolutely possible.
But yeah.
I don't know. What's the conclusion about this? I feel like we need to close this, right?
Yeah.
What was the question that I had wanted to ask?
I don't know. I know the statement of this was what you all need to know about the Huawei trade and everything based on our knowledge.
Oh yeah, okay, so if I were a Huawei user, does that mean that by August 19th,
yes,
I cannot use my phone anymore.
No, you can.
I mean, with like Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp.
Your updates will no longer happen, and then it will be very slow. Yeah. And then after that, you can't even send video properly. And then later, Facebook also cannot update properly. You cannot post photo, cannot see status.
In essence, it's a time bomb. At some point, it will cease to work.
After August 19, basically, I don't like. If let's say August, they do updates every week, right? I think.
I don't know. That really depends on the app.
Yeah, right. Every app in the App Store does a weekly update now. Actually, I don't know whether you know this. It updates in the background. So after 7 days from August 19, it's like what 26. After August 26, I can even tell you that your Facebook will start to slow down.
Yeah.
Then everything will start to slow down, and then you just have a very fancy camera with a big screen that can zoom very far.
And you can call and text.
Yeah, I think Huawei will do just fine.
You think so?
Just in a very different dynamic, obviously. But I think as a company, they won't go bust. The second largest phone manufacturer in the world. They've got this. They manufacture not just.
What do you think they'll do? You're not sure.
What do you mean? What?
I'm pretty sure
I don't know.
They'll have the brains to figure something out.
What do you think they'll do to survive, I suppose? To maintain themselves in the.
They'll definitely have to focus on the Chinese.
You know, Huawei is actually. I mean, besides phones, they also like when I was in Cuba, the Wi-Fi system, all Huawei.
Is it?
Yeah. So they're penetrating things that they're penetrating into countries that like we don't even think about.
Yeah, and not just in smartphones. They manufacture everything.
Servers.
Is it? Oh yeah, laptops and stuff as well.
Laptops, tablets, like. Yeah.
I think what you say is true. I think eventually they're just gonna focus on the Chinese market. They just won't.
In terms of phones, maybe.
Yeah, for phones, I think they'll just focus on.
But servers and stuff, all over the world. You don't need Android for that.
I think they'll just focus on their own people. Because I don't think you can do much really. Which is quite sad though. I always thought like, as the older we grew, we would just use like one currency and shit.
Sure.
Flying cars. You know, naive child. Yeah.
So yeah.
I guess that's it. Alright. Now let us know what you think in the comment section below. Whether you think we're full of shit or whether you know more. I don't know.
Or if you have a Huawei phone, what's your next move?
Or what's your next phone?
Or whether your parents know Google and Android are associated.
You know the meme?
Oh, I know.
Castle on the floor.
No, we picked it up. Nothing happened. Hey, do you guys know what company Android is under?
Android?
Yeah. Do you guys know?
I don't understand the question.
You know Android, the software?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Google, isn't it?
Or it's Google lah? Okay, just wanted to know.